us, dear Lord, Chief Pennell, and be with Supervisor Howard and his family during this trying time, dear Lord. Again, let them lean on you in this difficult time. Dear Lord, be with each and every one of these board members, dear Lord, and everyone that's here today, and as they go about their daily business, be with them, be with this county, be with this state, and be with this country, dear Lord. We so need you in these times. Thank you for all our many blessings and ones to come. It's in your Son Jesus' name we do pray. Amen.
Amen.
Moving right along with our citizen comment here. Are there any citizens here that would like to approach the board for up to 3 minutes? You may come forward and do so at this time. Good morning, Mr. Turner.
Good morning to everyone.
Good morning, Mr. Turner.
Pray much for me and my cousin, and we put cousin in our, we be strong because we in charge now. The old head for us to take care of things. In these days that we live in, telemarketers be running people crazy. Call and talk about your arrest and all that stuff. But if you can, help us not be taken by con artists in telemarketing.
Thank you, Mr. Turner. Is there anyone else here that would like to approach the board for 3 minutes? You may come forward and do so at this time. If not, then we'll move right along with our agenda. Ms. Jane Marzalak, Unity Park Nominees 2024. Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning. Mind if I come up and sit up here?
Yes, ma'am. Come on around.
First of all, I'd like to say thank you for allowing me to come. I wanted to
Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Thank you.
And secondly, I wanted to mention that I have 2 committee members, well, 3 actually, committee members here with me this morning. Dolores Farmer is one of our members, a new member, and Chris Taylor and Evelyn Johnson are both back there.
And Rex.
Oh, and Rex. I usually come to you every year to announce the new Unity Park honorees. I'm going to do that, but first I'd like to thank you for your continued support for the of the Unity Park and the committee. The support allows us to provide upkeep of the park and to make improvements that are needed. This year we saw the need of handrails for the stairs to the upper section of the park. They have now been installed. This coming spring we'll be replacing shrubs that died during last winter's freeze and this summer's drought. We continue to publicize the park so that everyone knows about it and its location, and it amazes me to know, to learn every day that there are a lot of people out there that don't know where this place is, and after all these years. Finally, last year and just recently, we have added several new members to our committee who have many skills and much expertise. These new members are Rex Buffington, Jenny Turner, Dolores Farmer, and Brittany Goss. Finally, secondly, I'm here to announce the 2024 Unity Park honorees, who, like usual, will be honored on Martin Luther King Jr. Day. The first is George Washington Childs, who was nominated by Charles Ware. Wash, as he was known, came to this county as a slave in the W.H. Childs family in 1840. During the Civil War, he served in the Confederacy with his owner as a servant and a cook. When his owner was badly injured in the Battle of Nashville, he saved him under great danger to himself. His battlefield actions brought him prominence in Occoquan County and also a Civil War pension, which was often difficult for black soldiers to receive. After the war, he married Henrietta Outlaw, and records show that he was a mail carrier, a member of the Occoquan County Board of Education Commissioners and Election Commissioners, a member of the Police Board, and a Mason. As a successful cook and employee in the hotel business, he was able to purchase land, and he used part of it to improve education and religious centers in the African American community. First, a school was built on the corner of Gillespie and Washington Streets, and later a larger school was built where Henderson Woods Stewart is now located. Also, the Second Baptist Church was built on property that he owned, and today his name remains on the cornerstone of that church. Additionally, he contributed to the effort to build a railroad to connect Starkville to the Mobile and Ohio Railroad, a major railroad in the South and the Midwest. This railroad connection had a positive effect on the growth of Starkville and helped to bring Mississippi State University to Ocklawaha County. Finally, his wife later said that he knew more about the history of the county before, during, and after the Civil War than any other person in the area. He is unknown to most citizens of this county, and yet he had a great influence in its development. And this this was really a special nomination because, as I said, hardly anybody knows about this man. He is buried at the Brush Arbor Cemetery.
Yeah, downtown.
Right. So I think that's long overdue. Our second honoree is Ernest Henry Jones Jr., who was nominated by his son Terry Boyd Jones. In 1943, Ernest Jones arrived in Starkville with his wife Sarah Lee Jeffries and his children to learn how to operate a shoe shop that had been established in the Needmore section in 1940 by his older brother Leo, who had been served with a draft notice to serve in the Army. Leo left for the Army, and Ernest established a thriving business, and he and his wife Sarah raised 7 children in Starkville. After a number of years, he relocated the shoe shop to the corner of Lafayette and Lampkin Streets, near a number of the other African-American businesses. Jones Shoe Shop worked together with Evans Shine Power, helping to refer customers to each other's shops. Both became very successful and trained many young boys in work and life skills. Ernest always supported other African-American businesses and often supplied funds when he saw a need and to help them prosper. After retiring in 1977, he built the West Main Senior Citizens Complex to provide safe, decent, and sanitary housing for low-income citizens. He was a member of the Chamber of Commerce and served on its board of directors. He was a lifetime member of the NAACP, a board member of the Rest Haven Cemetery on Eccles Road, and I had to look that up because I had not heard of that cemetery, but it is out there on Eccles Road, and served as deacon, church treasurer, and chair of the deacon ministry at Second Baptist Church. The shoe shop, like the Evans Shine Power, had mostly white clientele, and although a supporter of the civil rights movement, he did not openly participate in marches or boycotts, fearing retaliation, the loss of customers, and eventually his business and support of his family. He instead worked behind the scenes to make a difference in Ocklawaha County. His contributions to the community will be evident for many years to come. And those are our 2 nominees. Do you have any questions? And they'll all, as I said, they'll all be honored on Martin Luther King Day. And I wanted just to mention all the names of the people on the committee. Robbie Koblenz, Jay Hurdle, Charles, Lala Evans, Evelyn Johnson, Dylan Carges, Billy Nix, Chris Taylor, Maria White, Jenny Turner, Rex Buckington, Brittany Goss, and Dolores Farmer.
I don't have any questions, but I do want to say thank you all for all your hard work that you do. And thank you for keeping the Unity Park beautified over there. Y'all are not letting it go. You are constantly
We're trying to
keep so thank you.
We try to see things like we realized last year on Martin Luther King Day that older citizens have a little bit of trouble going up and down those stairs. Not that they're that high or anything, but it's just sometimes balance causes a problem, and so we realized we needed rails there. So we did have those installed, and we are looking eventually someday to get some type of a cover over the main part of the park, so it can be put up now and then when we have something special, especially in the summertime, when it's so hot out there. It's usually Juneteenth Day is really, but anyway, but we're making progress, and thanks to my committee because they're just terrific. And Brittany and Dolores are the newest members, and they, the 2 of them plus a few other members of the committee, entered us into the downtown tailgate, and that was a big success. We served desserts, and everybody loves sweets. Everybody has.
Let me commend you and the committee for a job well done.
Oh, thank you very much. I think this is especially a great group of, interesting group of new nominees because of the Civil War,
right.
nominee.
Yeah, and I am familiar with the cemetery too, on Eccles Road, a great cemetery.
I am not.
Outstanding individuals being buried.
Oh, that's great. Yeah, I was not familiar with it, and so I looked it up and I found where it was.
I believe Dr. Connor's buried out there.
No, Dr. Connor's buried up here behind Henderson.
Yeah, but, you know.
Cause I visited that cemetery, that one.
Okay, well, but anyway, the electrical plug-in, many individuals are asking me about the possibility of installing an electrical plug-in,
Yeah.
right under the area
Right.
that we meet, so they wouldn't have to run a cord
Right.
across the street in other places,
Sure.
so that's
But,
what they asked me to ask the committee.
Is there any way that the, some of the people that work for the board of supervisors could help us with that?
Well, I'm sure we
So
could.
you're working.
I believe we
Yeah.
could.
And another, problem that we have sometimes, and Dolores and I have talked about this, but is, watering problem. But now I think that, water, there is an outlet on the education building,
It is.
911 building.
Yeah, we removed the outside faucet, so we can attach it when needed.
Right,
Okay.
Someone had left the water running.
Yeah.
okay, so that's taken care of, we just need an electrical outlet somewhere.
We can work on it.
Okay, we'll talk about it.
We will.
Okay, thank you for
Thank you,
pointing
Ms.
that out to me,
Marshall.
but I do know that those have been issues. And another issue that we, have addressed is that we put a sign there asking people who want to reserve the park for a large event to contact the board of supervisors office about it, because 911's having issues with the noise. They're having trouble hearing people when they call in, and so we've had to make sure that people understand they can't have loudspeakers out there and blasting music and that type of thing, so, anyway, but we're on top of it. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
If we can, let's acknowledge the report from the committee. Motion by Supervisor Williams, second by Supervisor Howard. Are there any questions concerning the motion? All those in favor, let it be known by the appropriate vote sign. Motion passes unanimously. Before we go any further, we have the minutes in your packet. I think you probably had time to review those minutes.
Motion to approve.
Motion by Supervisor Montgomery, second by Supervisor Howard, that we approve the minutes. Are there any questions concerning the minutes? All those in favor, let it be known by the appropriate vote sign. Motion passes unanimously. Thank you. Mr. Allen Page, resort status for Dotson Farm. Good morning, sir.
All right, I'm not Alan, I'm Carl Murphy, I'm one of the other owners with Dotson Farms.
Come forward, you come forward.
Okay.
Yes, sir. That heavy. Glad to be here.
We are,
You can sit down.
Whatever you want.
Take a seat.
we're just in the, early stages, but, we're wanting to apply for a resort status there at the farm for the purpose of being able to mainly just kind of control and regulate the sales of alcohol on the property.
They're here today. They had called me about, testing the waters to see whether or not the board would be able or be willing to approve, and move forward with the resort status. Actually, we have two that are coming up. One is gonna be in your district, which would be the old school building, and the other is gonna be this one here. I think both of them are willing.
Both of them, I think, yeah,
Okay, I thought that was the case, but I wasn't sure. I wanted to make certain that this board was okay with moving forward with getting this resort status out there. Without it, they're not gonna be able to, first of all, they're not gonna be able to control anything. They don't have any ability to control alcohol sales or anything else dealing with that. So if this board is okay with this, then I can move forward with a local and private, well, it wouldn't be a local and private, it would be, a resort status statute that we already have, that's already available here for us. But it just depends on whether or not this is what y'all want to do, and, I mean, this is in your district.
Right, since it is in my district, I'm sure several boards gonna come. So we do need some guidelines, I believe, because there are some consumption of alcohol. And when individuals consume alcohol, the first thing they wanna do is get out and drive. There are many accidents that are taking place in my district. Young people are getting killed, old people are getting killed. And I'd like to go ahead on and approve it, but I'd like to see some guidelines before we start going into approval. We don't really know what all that entails. And then too, how we gonna have security, after consumption of alcohol. What involvement will the sheriff department have? There are some unanswered questions in relation to it, so I'd like to get an answer to some of those unanswered questions as you move forward with developing, some statute
Yes,
in
sir.
regards to that. So I'd like to table, I motion to table until we get a chance to see, some guidelines in relation to it.
I think the sheriff has a lot more influence initially than the board does, so you definitely have to have him involved in it.
Well, my advice would be on the front end of anybody that comes in with a resort status to be very clear that they're going to open and close at the same time the city of Starkville is. One of the problems we're running into with the sheriff department is some of the resorts, not this one, so let me be very clear, it's not this one or even the other one. We've had issues with late night parties that have continued on, so anything that we do needs to have the understanding that it's going to close at the same time that everything else in Ottawa County and the city of Starkville closes.
Some form of consistency.
Yes, sir.
Brought forward up front.
Yes, sir. I
Well,
think
we've
that-
seen some problems that it can cause.
Yes, sir.
As a resort status, and we just need to do everything we can to try to avoid those type issues.
Is it okay for the board for me to move forward with the process for them and also get together exactly what the procedure will be and all that kind of good stuff? Or do you wanna table it until I hear from you again?
Well, we won't table it until, we get some more information from you.
Perfect.
That was my motion.
Yes, sir.
And two, at the same time, for you to move forward with some guidelines.
Yes, sir.
The amendment to that.
Yes, sir.
Okay, we got a motion and a second on that particular action. Are there any questions concerning the motion? All those in favor, let it be known by the public vote sign. Motion passing unanimously. Thank you. Mr. Murphy, you have a great day. Moving right along, Ms. Kuban, real and personal property assessment changes.
Morning.
Good morning. Good morning.
I have a couple changes for you guys.
I think those changes are in your packet.
One for approval for real and personal property assessment.
Motion by Supervisor Williams, second by Supervisor Howard. Are there any questions concerning the motion? All those in favor, let it be known by the appropriate voting sign. Motion passes unanimously.
Thank you.
Ms. Hopkins, good morning, you come forward.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I trust everyone had a good Thanksgiving with their family and everything. Good to see you. Thank you for being here, letting me be here. I had a short agenda this morning. November after Veterans Day is pretty lax for, veteran affairs, but we'll go on and say what happened in October, November, and December this quarter. You can look at the activities that have been going on, phone calls and everything, and the outreach activity. I do have backup on this, and if anyone needs anything, we did have the World War II Memorial Monument unveiling, which was, haven't been over there to see it. It's very nice. It's behind the Nurse Hall, and we did that on October 2nd. We had a reception that followed. Then we had the Veterans Day preparations, and we had a lot of military meetings. You know, we had a parade this year, and we had booths set up around the courthouse. We had a fair attendance. You know, it was kind of rainy and cold that day, so I think that put a damper on some of the things. But it was a good, it was a good, fair crowd, and we handed out a lot of brochures, paperwork, and talked about what resources we had at the VA. And then we have an ongoing monthly meeting with the outreach director of the regional office, and we do that, share the places where we get together, each is around the Golden Triangle, just talk about events, what we're gonna be doing with the regional office and getting new software, and that's coming up, and we'll talk about that later. And then we did have a fall training, which we tested on, and that was held in Camp Shelby this year. And Camp Shelby was neat. I mean, they have a great museum, a military museum there. I mean, it was very nice. So that happened, and upcoming events are the accreditation program and training. That can take about 2 years, and I've already taken the testing for that, and they're gonna do, it's quite an involved process, and so, we're gonna be working on that. And, that's about it. After Veterans Day, I say, like I said earlier, it's just kind of slowing down till January, and then it'll hit fast again. And I wanna thank y'all for letting me, present this to you, and it's an honor to serve our veterans in this county, and for y'all to give me the opportunity.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Any questions for Ms. Thompson? If not, let's acknowledge the Lord. Motion by Supervisor Howard, second by Supervisor Williams. Any questions concerning the motion? All those in favor, let it be known by the clerk voting sign. Motion passes unanimously. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank
for the
you.
good work you do. At this time, we're gonna ask Mr. Patrick to come forward. I know he has maybe 1 or 2 items that we want to take into consideration at this time. So good morning, Mr. Fire Coordinator.
How y'all doing this morning?
Good morning.
I did have, 2 items, I forgot one the other day, when I asked to sell the 2 trucks. I do have one other piece of equipment, it's a light tower, it's an old light tower, it's not operable anymore, it's just salvage, we hadn't used it in 10 years. I'd like to request the board, permission to sell the light tower.
Heard the request. Motion by Supervisor Howard, second by Supervisor Williams. Are there any questions concerning the motion? All those in favor, let it be known by the clerk voting sign. Motion passes unanimously.
The other item I have is, as y'all know, that Chief Joe Pennell, he passed away on November 23rd, 2023. He possessed the heart of a servant and epitomized what it means to live, your life in service to others. Joe was a founding member of the Ottawa County, Fire Department, a former police officer, served on the Water Association Board, and in many other capacities across the county. He was a great servant to the county and his community. I'm asking the board to adopt a resolution honoring Chief Joe Pennell and his 35 years of service.
So moved. Motion by Supervisor Montgomery, second by Supervisor Howard. Are there any questions concerning the motion? All those in favor, let it be known by the clerk voting sign. Motion passes unanimously.
Thank you
Thank you,
so
sir.
much.
Thank you, Mr. All right, moving right along, Mr. Brent Watson, 365 Labs. Good morning, sir.
How you doing, sir? I think we'll ask the board just to pass on this. Maybe for the next board meeting or one after, and we'll, we got some things we need to iron out, so.
Okay, no problem. You certainly will. Moving right along, Mr. Collins, road manager report. Road update. Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
Morning.
Right.
Morning, Ms. Carter.
We're gonna try to be in and out quick as possibly can. Few items on the list. One, would like to ask the board to extend the skid steer rental for another month for us, please.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion by Supervisor Williams, second by Supervisor Howard. Are there any questions concerning the motion?
All right.
All those in favor, let it be known by the clerk voting sign.
Aye.
Motion passes unanimously. Skid steer, yeah, extend the skid steer.
And also extend the motor grader rental for another month.
So move.
Motion by Supervisor Howard, second by Supervisor.
We may not have to use it, but if it goes out on the 7th, and if we don't need it, we'll return it before that time, but we just wanna make sure. We got a lot of roads that need grading now since the rain came through.
Any more questions concerning the motion? All those in favor, let it be known by the clerk voting sign. Motion passes unanimously.
Okay, we've got quotes on for the county lake, conduit, the drain conduit, to fill voids that's in that conduit, behind the conduit. And we had, 2 companies to give quotes on it, and we'd like to acknowledge the quotes, and if it's okay with Supervisor Howard, go ahead on and get approval. We need to move forward with that as quickly as we can to try to get that done.
I guess it needs to be a little discussion on the quotes. There's such a huge difference in the 2 quotes. I think one of them is 65, around 65,000, the other one is
Around 20,000.
20,000.
Yeah.
So it's,
I'm gonna put these on.
Apples for apples is kind of.
Yeah, and just a little bit of background, I think everybody's been keeping up with it, but, there was an inspection done of that conduit, William McCurry from MDEQ came down and several others, and they discovered that through the cracks inside the dam, and you have some pictures, that there is now a hollow that's developed outside of the conduit that carries the water such that they can stick like a 3-4 foot rod or something and not touch anything in there. So that means that water is now not all just coming through. It's either starting to go around it, and it's also still pulling material through, which now, if you ride and you look as you're approaching, you can see where the road is. So in other words, it's sort of a urgent situation now, and the recommendation was to get company down and try and pump and fill those voids, at least to hold it until, we can move forward or make a decision on the other. So those are the two quotes that we got. They're gonna come in and pump. There's some stabilizing foam and things of that nature to secure those voids back there and try to make sure, they don't stay in place. But I'm gonna leave it sort of up to the road manager, sort of maybe suggest what he think about the two quotes and
Well, what it consists of, what this job consists of, it consists of pumping a foam into those voids, and this foam, once it goes in, it expands, sort of like the expanding foam that you can buy from the store to fill cracks in your house or home or anything. But this stuff sits up like, sort of like concrete. They inject it, they drill holes in the conduit, and they inject it through that conduit, through those holes. It fills the voids in. It'll come back out in the crack once it does what it does, and the excess, they'll actually shave it off once it sets up enough that it'll stabilize itself. This bid came in a little bit low, but in talking with the gentleman and looking at some of their other work online, and also them being recommended by the gentleman from MDEQ, I don't see anything that I feel like maybe it's a good bid.
And I was there when both contractors, me and assistant road manager and Mr. Collins, and both of them were real knowledgeable, both of them were professional, both of them seemed to know what they were talking about. I don't know if it's exactly apples for apples, and I don't know if the first bid is sort of putting funding in there for the unknown, if it's an unknown. But it's just, we were just a little concerned about the difference in the bids, and we sort of talked about, their process of developing bids. And I hadn't just read that, and I've been a little occupied over the last week, but I don't know if there's something about quantity.
Yeah.
And if it exceeds what they're expecting, then,
Well, that is, from talking with them on the day they came out and they gave us a quantity amount, which is 2,800 pounds, at $7. And that's where they come up with the $1,960. They also said that if it exceeded that amount per pound, it's a $5, they cut it to $5 for the exceed. So that's what, in this discussion, that's what we gotta look at. If it takes more than 2,800 pounds of material, then there will be an additional cost. And
$5 per pound.
$5 per pound. Whereas on the first 2,800 pound is $7 per pound. So, me myself, I don't see it still reaching the amount of the second bid. But that's something that I guess we'll have to just, there's no way we can tell, cause there's no way we can tell how big the void is behind that concrete.
I'm, even though the two bids are pretty wide apart, I'm still comfortable with the guy that gave the low bid. If that's the way the board decides to go, I'm still comfortable with him, cause he walked us and talked us through some things that, made sense, and again, I think both people would do a good job, but, I'm not uncomfortable with the low bid. That's just me.
Ms. Bowman, I think you
I want to clarify something, because I spoke with the representative from MDEQ. They did not make a recommendation.
Mhm.
They did not recommend either company. They just gave us names that we could choose
Yes,
from.
well,
So I just want to
yeah.
clarify that.
Yeah.
But they're both on the list.
Mhm.
Yeah.
They both can do
Contractors
it.
are comfortable with.
Yep,
Yeah.
they both can do it.
With that being said, which direction you all want to?
Bulldog gonna stay on the job and add more material if they need to add
Well,
more material.
they're not gonna stop
They
until the
ain't
voids
gonna
are
stop
full.
until it's full, that's
Yeah,
right.
yeah.
How many places they gonna have to go in, you reckon?
I think it's 3 or 4 cracks in it.
Okay.
But they're gonna drill, they can't inject it in the cracks, cause it won't do what they want it to do. They have to drill into the concrete away from the cracks, what it is, those box covers are sections.
Right,
They
yeah.
they were put in sections. And so they'll have to drill away from the sections, so the material will come back to the cracks. And that material has a tendency to swell and push. He even made the thing that it may even cause some of the road to rise yeah. So,
But if it's a dip in the road.
yeah, it's a dip there. And that's what a sinkhole it came from. The void in there, the material being sucked out of those cracks when the water goes through it. And the dirt behind that is wet because of where the water has been going in there. So that is, and if something is not done to it, it could cause it to fail outside the concrete. Cause if it's a big enough, even after they put the, material in, we gotta still go and dig that sinkhole up and see if there's anything that needs to go in from the top.
So I would make a motion to accept the bid from Bulldog.
Got a motion Supervisor Howard, second by Supervisor Montgomery. Any more questions concerning the motion? All those in favor, let me know by the vote vote sign. Aye, motion passed unanimously.
Okay, we got a quote to replace, the driveway, the concrete on the driveway at, 647 Southgate, Drive. And to let you know that is a double driveway at that location. And we did replace the cover under both driveways, so we, I guess, obligated to replace the concrete back on both driveways.
I'm familiar with that, I motion for approval.
Motion by Supervisor Williams, second by Supervisor Howard. Are there any questions concerning the motion? All those in favor, let me know by the vote sign. Motion passed unanimously.
Okay, next, we have it's not in your, we have a covered request for entering property, on, Sturgis Louisville Road, and I had the name somewhere, and I have misplaced it. That gentleman. Ms. Foreman, you don't remember his name, do you?
Dean, first name Dean.
No, last.
Idea what day, Mr. Collins?
I'll let you know, but it may be about Wednesday of this week or Thursday, but I'll give you a call.
Yes, sir.
I'll give you plenty of heads up.
We'll get taken care of.
All right, thank you all.
All those in favor of the roll call report, let me know. Motion passed unanimously. Thank you, Mr. Collins, appreciate all the
All
work.
right.
All right, moving right along, Chancery Clerk business, Ms. Libby.
The only thing I have is I need a board order to publish the 2021 audit report on salt revenues.
So move.
Motion by Supervisor Howard, second by Supervisor Williams. Are there any questions concerning the motion? All those in favor, let it be known by the vote sign. Motion passed unanimously.
The 2021 audit.
County Business Administration, Mr. Lloyd Fong.
Excuse me, payroll changes for approval?
Motion by Supervisor Williams, second by Supervisor Howard, that we approve payroll changes. Are there any questions concerning the motion? All those in favor, let it be known by the appropriate voting sign. Aye. Motion passes unanimously.
Need board approval to sell, Sheriff Gladney his gun that's registered to him.
Motion by Supervisor Williams, second by Supervisor Howard. Are there any questions concerning the motion? All those in favor, let it be known by the appropriate voting sign. Motion passes unanimously.
Need board approval to sell Chad Garnett his, county issued gun to him.
Motion by Supervisor Howard, second by Supervisor, Williams. Are there any questions concerning the motion? All those in favor, let it be known by the appropriate voting sign. Motion passes unanimously.
Have credit card charges for the month of December in the amount of $357.12.
So move.
Motion by Supervisor Howard, second by Supervisor Montgomery. Are there any questions concerning the motion? All those in favor, let it be known by the appropriate voting sign. Motion passes unanimously.
We have claim docket number 646-1056 in the amount of $2,598,144.91.
Move pay the docket.
Motion by Supervisor Howard, second by Supervisor Williams. Are there any questions concerning the motion? All those in favor, let it be known by the appropriate voting sign. Motion passes unanimously.
And a couple of reminders, but can we get board approval to reimburse the newly hired, supervisors that'll be traveling this Wednesday to the new term orientation? I've been asked if they can get reimbursed, and I told them I would have to get board approval to reimburse them for that, because as of today, they're not county employees. So we'll have to spread that over the minutes. Now, the county is paying for the room and board, but not the meal and gas. So that's what this would be, to reimburse them for meal and gas.
That's for returning supervisors as well as.
Well, you all get it anyways. No, you all are entitled to it. Well, you're not going on.
Well,
We didn't get you a room.
we'll talk about it.
All right.
Mr. J, you can come stand.
I got you.
Motion by Supervisor Montgomery, second by Supervisor Howard, that we authorize that request. Are there any questions concerning the motion? All those in favor, let it be known by the appropriate voting sign.
All right.
Motion passes unanimously.
And, a reminder, public hearing at the Safe Room, December 12th at 6 p.m., pertaining to the county lake.
Do you know whether we got it set up for Zoom so we can get that word up?
We got the wiring done. I feel like at this time we'll be able to do the Zoom. I'll have the link. We got the wiring done. C-Spire is having to come back and do something with their box. But we've done everything. We just gotta make the connection.
December 12th, what time?
December 12th, 6 p.m. at the Safe Room on Lynn Lane. We're having the public hearing, about the county lake. And if, at this time, we'll be able to do Zoom, so I'll have the link later. I'll get it out to everyone. That's all I have.
Any, Administrator, are there anything come from the board attorney?
Real quick, we did get settled 4 of our federal lawsuits, which was awesome. We have one more that we're waiting on a judge's order from. That once we get that one in, we should be done. I'm praying that that's the end of those particular issues. Also, I have had, about a year and a half ago, we got questions from the public dealing with our lake. And I think, Mr. Shelton Jones had asked some questions, and I had not answered these questions, and I want y'all to be aware of this. And the reason I didn't answer these questions, or I did not, let me rephrase this, I've answered them to the degree that I could, but we're in the middle of a lawsuit. Some of these questions that were asked, subjective, really very subjective, and I really don't wanna be on the record to this board stating a fact that may not be a fact. These are perceptions in a lot of the sense, and I think that, Mr. Lois and I looked at I brought them to her to look at, and she's of the same opinion, or I don't speak for her, but I'm very uncomfortable answering some of these things at this point. That does not mean that I don't think that our public doesn't need to know some of this stuff. It doesn't mean that I'm gonna hide this stuff. It merely means that while this lawsuit is going on, I really don't want a piece of paper stating what our position on some of this stuff is. So if you do get some complaints that I haven't answered these things, there's a reason I haven't answered some of this stuff. I will be at our meeting on the 12th, and I'm certain that we may hear some of these same questions. So I just wanna let y'all have a heads up as to, I mean, you told me to answer them, but because of these lawsuits that are out there, or this lawsuit that's out there, I would prefer us wait a little bit longer to answer some of these. That being said, if this board tells me to point blank get these answers no matter what, I will do that, and I will gladly take whatever heat for not doing it for the last year. But the reality is some of this stuff is very subjective. Now, how much something costs is not subjective, and I think that's gonna be one of the questions that is asked, and I'll try to work on us getting an answer for the 12th to make sure that we're ready for some of this. But I did want y'all to be aware of that, and I'm just being very cautious as to how I approach some of these things.
Let me ask you, because I've been wondering about this, the format of this meeting. First of all, are we gonna allow an individual just to monopolize all the time and ask as many questions as they want, even if it's repetitive? That's one thing, but I don't know exactly what you're talking about, attorney, but I thought this public hearing was strictly to talk about the process of federal money, the way they're working through that process, not to go into any of the other questions about the lawsuit. I thought this was strictly a public hearing.
I'm in agreement.
And I'm hoping that we'll have somebody, to be in charge to, you know,
Redirect.
redirect type question, because to me, this is simply to hear from the engineers, the engineering firm that we hire, about their process, about the federal government process, about the options that at the end of their studies, and that we will arrive at to make a decision. I'm not looking for this. I didn't think it was gonna go into the owner of the lease and what is. I didn't think that public hearing was for that.
I don't think that, my honest opinion is that the hearing process is what the federal folks ask us as part of that process. They're not there to hear any of this.
Mm-hmm.
I do feel like we're probably gonna have some people ask these questions, and I will do what this board asked me to do. If y'all want me to redirect that or whatever, I will be happy to do it. I just don't want us to be flat-footed when we walk into this, because I really do think there are going to be broader questions. This needs to be, for this to work, for us to be able to move this process through. I think that limiting some of that, and it may be that I just need to get with the people that do have these other questions to sit down and say, look, I will meet with y'all and have a different conversation. Maybe this is not the appropriate spot, because you're right. This whole point of this is to allow the engineers that the state has gotten involved and the federal people have gotten involved to give our options and hear information. I don't think that it's necessarily completely appropriate for us to, especially the lawsuit. I'm very uncomfortable getting into some of that, because it really puts us at a disadvantage if I answer something and I could be wrong. I mean, some of this stuff is complicated, and I could be wrong about what that information is, and I don't want us to put anything out there that would back us into a corner in how we approach some of these things. So I will probably have to stand up with this board's approval, saying, look, anything that has to do with a lawsuit or anything that has to do with the things that would go into that, the question's going to be, though, if the total amount of money that's been spent so far, that may not have anything to do with the lawsuit, but it kind of does as well. I mean, we have spent money trying to fix this problem. So we've spent a good chunk of money trying to fix this problem. So I would prefer not to go down that road too far, and I don't think the feds are there to hear any of that.
But that, again, that's really not, what this public hearing is to begin the process of making, at the end of the process of making a decision on what's gonna be done at the lake. This public hearing to me is to lay out that information step by step as to how they will arrive at some recommendations
You're exactly
at the
right.
end of this process. It's
You are
not
correct.
about, I mean, because it's irrelevant to that process
Right.
of what's been spent so
Correct.
far.
You're right.
And that's why I'm saying, we need somebody that's gonna moderate this meeting and not let it flow all the way over into, because you've got people coming to try and gather factual information.
Right.
Because there's been so much, and that factual information is about the process that's being taken to get to some recommendations of a decision that will be made at the end of this process. Not to go all into lawsuits, and so that's, to me now, that's just me.
I think that's a
That's
fair
just me.
assessment. I really think that's a fair assessment of the whole process. I will do my best to, if this starts to go down that road, to redirect it back into where we need to be.
Yeah, because all of this question about how
I'm
much has
assuming
been,
the board
this,
wishes
and I'm
that-
not saying that the public don't need to know.
Right.
I'm just saying in that setting.
I understand.
If they wanna know how much has been spent, that's public information, but I don't think we need to pull all of that into,
Don't complicate
into this
the
meeting.
issue that we're dealing with. I got you.
Right.
Well, the whole public hearing has been handled by soil and water, so board of supervisors, we would just be, for those that,
Yeah,
we
we're
would just be attending.
you're right.
And I think they'll be able to handle whatever comes up.
Okay.
These are professional people that dealing with this, this is not me handling it. Whatever, these are professional people, and I think you'll be well pleased on how they handle the situation. So I invite people to come out, and I think that everything will flow smooth. As far as that, responding to that letter, since that letter, we didn't have all this information when that letter was submitted.
You're
So that
exactly
changes
right.
the whole thing. People keep saying a lake, but to me, it's a watershed project. That's a whole different dynamic, so. But I think everything will go good. I'm glad
I
to see it
wanted
get
to
to this
make
point.
certain that y'all were aware of what I was hearing. That's all I have.
And we'll have representation from the sheriff's department there.
I just didn't want somebody to come in and monopolize the meeting and, you know.
Well, it won't be, we have got to get this group, the federal people and the engineering group, let them do their job. And I 100% agree with where your thought process is with this.
But as far as the public, I think they've tried, from what I can, everything, I mean, we've been reported, we've been called on, we've been accused of, I mean, what more? I don't know what can be done other than let the process flow like it goes. So, all right, moving right on to the next item, do we have any business on this community council and commissioner appointment? Just wanted to let you know, we did get some, a letter of interest, but wanted to make sure that there were some others out there who wanted to submit some letters of interest for this position. If you know anybody, please get it in so they can be considered and we can make a decision on this probably at our next meeting. But we didn't want to do anything without people having an understanding that this position was out there. And they can contact the county administrator for whatever information they need concerning the requirement for that position. Any supervisor, have anything you can bring before the board for proceed to close?
I would like to say, first of all, thank our county administrator and her staff for always getting us a nice, fresh ride for the parade. But I would like to say, and we've got time, but I would like to see us get something that we can put on,
Yes.
on the vehicle, you know, saying that.
Do we all-
Yeah, instead of a couple of gangsters riding.
Who is that?
Oh, that's my
They
bad,
make the
it's
vehicles
supervisor.
to where now you can't hardly put.
Yeah,
they
I
have
know,
a
but
specialized
I
magnet.
believe it's something we just
Yeah,
probably.
we haven't figured it out. Let's figure it out.
Yeah, I know they don't stick anymore like they used to.
No, they don't.
But thank y'all. for-
No, unfortunately, I don't think about that until it's parade
Yeah,
time and
yeah.
it's too late, but I'll get on it today.
My wife should be there.
Good.
That must be the board of
Yeah.
supervisors.
Incognito in there.
And look, while I'm thinking about it, this is never gonna need the board on, but if y'all can, there was a contribution made to the fallen firefighter fund on behalf of Mr. Joe Pennell. And of course, we didn't use county funds, Mr. Lois did on her own. I think it added up to what, $100?
It was, I made the family didn't want the flowers, they asked that you make a donation to the fallen fire. So I did that on behalf of the board, Tullaha County, I should say.
Okay.
And we did it for $100. And Patrick also, he left, and I wish he had told you, he, did it on behalf of Central Fire Station, I guess the brick, you might know, John, what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Okay, okay, he did that also at that location, so, on behalf of Tullaha County.
So since it's Rob, I'm gonna put you in here since you sit in that seat. Since it's 5 of us, y'all mind get reimbursed on the $20 fee?
Yes.
No problem.
Yeah, for that donation.
I'll get some cash.
Thank you.
No problem.
Because the
That's
county
your
does
seat.
not
Yeah,
have
that's
funds for this, we don't pay for this out of county funds.
Well, that's what we've done,
I
customary, when
appreciate you
things,
we have.
yeah, when things come up like that, we just usually do it and we'll reimburse. Anybody else got anything else we need to bring before we proceed to close?
Yeah, I'll get it back to you. No, I gotta go by, I'm gonna get some cash, I appreciate it though.
And Supervisor Howard, we certainly want to extend our condolences and support to you and the family and to all who are experiencing things during this time of year. Certainly wish you all the best. Give our regards to the family. And certainly, I know this is getting down to our next to last board meeting, and I really would like to say I really enjoyed serving with everybody. And I think this county is better because of the men and women who sit in these seats in this county. So we're certainly excited and thankful for how far God has brought us and looking forward to some brighter days ahead. Supervisor Montgomery mentioned about a life-changing movie and we get ready to make it. Man, we certainly wish you the best.
Thank you, Lord.
Supervisor
You will
Miller,
be missed.
Oh, I appreciate it.
certainly wish her the best too. So I think there's some great things happening in Occidental County and the best is yet to come. So with that being said, anything else we need to bring before we proceed to
I
close?
just wanna tell you, thank you all for all your well wishes and your support and your prayers, that's being said, thank you.
I'd like to see the board do a resolution of appreciation for Pastor Rochester Young, did 28 years as pastor of the church in District 5 community. But not only did he pastor the church, he was a good Occidental County person who was involved in Occidental County activities. I'd like to get you more information on that. If I can get an approval, I'll get you the information that is needed, for the resolution. Pastor Roy Chester Young. Bethel Baptist Church.
Give us information, we'll get it.
No, he's retired. Retired after 28 years. R-O is not Y in there. I think R-O-C-E-S-T-E-R. Rochester.
Motion by Supervisor Williams, second by Supervisor Montgomery. Are there any questions on the motion? All those in favor, let it be known by the public vote sign. Motion passed unanimously. Do we need to stand adjourned? Okay. All right, let's get a motion second to stand recess until the 18th at 9.
12th, I'm sorry, he's on the 12th, the public hearing.
Okay, well, I guess because all of us.
What time do you think we'll have the 18th meeting?
What time you want, what?
9.
Yeah, 9. Well, but we're gonna.
Two motions then, one for 6 and one for 9.
Okay, well, what we'll do, we're gonna stand, recess until the 12th at 6 p.m. That's a motion second by, Supervisor, Montgomery, second by Supervisor Howard. All those in favor, let it be known by the pro vote sign. And then we'll set our recess meeting for December 18th at 9.
Just do the
Motion
same.
second by Supervisor Montgomery and second by Supervisor Howard. And along with that, we'll stand recess until the 12th. All those in favor, let it be known by the pro vote sign. That motion passes. You all have a great day.
All right.
I got a